I love Intel as much as anyone. I love Intel as much as anyone. They
Aku menjaga Intel dari semua orang.
make cool products. They
Mereka mempunyai produk yang keren.
engage in lots of community stuff, and
Mereka juga mempunyai banyak kegiatan di komunitas.
I mean, heck, they're even a major sponsor of my other channel.
Bahkan mereka mensponsori channel yang lain.
But man, when it comes to confusing
Tetapi
product naming schemes, I think Core i3, Core i5. I love Intel as much as anyone. They make cool I love Intel as much as anyone. I love Intel as much as anyone.
aku menjaga Intel seperti orang lah, kebanyakan orang.
They make cool products. They
Mereka membuat produk yang keren.
engage in lots of community stuff, and
Mereka juga banyak melakukan kegiatan pada komunitas.
I mean, heck, they're even a major sponsor of my other channel.
Bahkan mereka mensponsori pada channel yang lain.
But man, when it comes to confusing product
Tetapi pada saat penamaan produk sangat membingungkan.
naming schemes, I think Core i3, Core i5, Core i7 takes the cake. I mean,
Seperti Core i3, Core i5, dan Core i7 itu sangat membingungkan.
great question.
Pertanyaan yang bagus.
What is a Core i7 4790K?
Apa itu Core i7 GB?
What the heck does all of this even
Apa dari maksud semua ini?
mean? We'll get to that. But first, a bit of background about why we need
Tapi kita harus lihat mengapa
product names for processors.
kita membutuhkan nama prosesor untuk produk ini.
Wouldn't it be simpler to just label them with how many gigahertz they run at and call it a day?
Apakah lebih dapat tidak membuatnya itu seperti berapa banyak gigahertz yang bisa mereka jalankan dan seperti itu.
Simpler, sort of, but at times actually even more confusing.
Lebih simpel sedikit, tetapi ada yang lebih membingungkan.
For example, when the Pentium 4 launched,
Seperti contohnya ketika Pentium 4 diluncurkan,
an equivalently clocked Pentium 3
itu setara dengan kecepatan Pentium 3.
was actually faster because it could do more work with each cycle. Pentium 3 was actually
yang lebih
faster because it could do
karena bisa menjalankan kerja lebih keras
more work with each cycle. As a
di setiap putaran.
customer, I would expect the product with the higher number to be the better one.
Sebagai konsumer, aku berekspektasi dengan angka yang lebih tinggi sebagai yang lebih bagus.
And therein lies the problem.
Dan masalahnya begitu.
Not all megahertz and gigahertz are created equal.
Tidak semua megahertz dan gigahertz adalah sama. Diciptakan setara.
And rating products that way is about like rating the performance of a car
Nilai suatu produk seperti itu seperti nilai sebuah mobil
based on what RPM the engine runs at.
berdasarkan RPM yang mesin mobil jalan.
It's not actually a real indication of how fast the processor is.
Itu bukan dan indikasi seberapa cepat prosesor itu berjalan.
But it happened. Now, one of
Tetapi itu terjadi.
AMD's attempts to move away from this.
Sekarang, salah satu keputusan AMD untuk beralih dari ini
Started in the early 2000s with their PR or performance rating naming scheme, where they in the early 2000s with their
mulai dari tahun 2000 dengan PR mereka
PR or performance rating naming scheme,
atau penilaian performa skema nama,
where their processors were given a 4-digit model number that enthusiasts believe
prosesor diberi 4 digit nama, dengan prosesor diberi 4 digit model angka,
was based on the performance AMD felt that they delivered
dengan dan para antusias percaya bahwa performa AMD yang diantarkan
compared to an Intel CPU of that was based on the performance AMD felt that they delivered compared to an Intel CPU of that clock speed.
performa yang mereka antarkan sama dengan CPU dari Intel.
But this fixed nothing. They
Ini tidak merubah apapun.
were still indirectly naming according to clock speed, and it
Tapi mereka hanya membahas tentang clock speed.
wasn't until Intel introduced the Core series, a line of CPUs that dramatically outperformed their predecessor. Intel, they were still indirectly naming according to clock speed, and it wasn't until Intel
Dan itu berhenti ketika Intel merilis Core series.
Intel introduced the Core series, a line of CPUs that dramatically
Unit CPU yang memiliki performa drastis
outperformed their predecessors at much lower clocks
daripada prosesor-prosesor sebelumnya pada kecepatan yang lebih rendah.
that the megahertz war ended
Dan dengan perang megahertz
because Intel needed to shift their marketing away from frequency. So here's
dan akhirnya Intel selesai dengan marketing frekuensi. I think that's it.